Good evening. Sitting in for Indira Craig, I am Jo Marie Lanza, and here's what's ahead for you on 7 News tonight. Bus fares are going up. You'll hear from the Minister of Transport why Cabinet gave the go-ahead and when will it go into effect. Plus, we'll talk to the Minister of Public Service about the sudden freeze on government personnel transfers. Also, an ugly and heartbreaking case of domestic abuse. A cop who beat his common-law and her son has all charges dropped. But we ask who stood up for the child in court. And was your bank account changed from savings to checking without any consultation? We asked the central bank who approved that. These stories and much more ahead on 7 News tonight, so please stay tuned.
This newscast is brought to you by Cellular World, your authorized Samsung distributor.
Shop smart for your Samsung devices in Belize and enjoy benefits you won't get anywhere else. When you shop locally for your Samsung, all your devices will be covered by a 1-year local warranty. You won't get that when shopping with the other guys. When in doubt, always look for the Cellular World seal to know you're getting the real deal. Shop with confidence and enjoy your Galaxy knowing that it can be repaired locally at our Samsung Service Center by certified Samsung technicians using original parts and machinery. Even better, enjoy the best LTE experience in Belize, knowing that your Samsung devices are compatible with major local carrier networks. Get the ultimate Samsung Galaxy experience only when you shop from authorized Samsung resellers nationwide.
2026 marks a major milestone in the history of Belize's healthcare sector. The 25th anniversary of the National Health Insurance (NHI) program and the long-awaited national rollout of NHI services to the Cayo district, finally fulfilling a dream of primary healthcare coverage for all Belizeans. What started as an idea in 1998 became a reality in 2001 and has served thousands of Belizeans over the last 2.5 decades by providing access to quality health care, now in every corner of Belize.
One of the central pillars of NHI is access to quality health care.
All Belizeans will have access to quality hospital services through a national health insurance system.
It's a milestone that the whole country and all of the people of Belize, anyone who has a social security card, it's minimal out-of-pocket expenses, it's high-quality primary care. It allows almost all the population then to have the same level of health care wherever you are.
In 1998, the then Honorable Said Musa convened a group of us to work on the manifesto, and then a group of people in the medical field, and started brainstorming of how we could better health care for Belizeans.
The beginning can be traced to a study done by Cambridge Consultancy, where they produced a document on how to improve healthcare in Belize. One of the features of that study was the proposal that we have national health insurance.
As a matter of urgency, we will radically transform Belize's health system to ensure equitable access to quality health services.
It took a lot of courage to implement and begin the NHI. Prime Minister Musa made the bold decision to implement it.
So with a clear plan and vision for the future of Belize's healthcare sector, the NHI program was launched in Belize City's south side as a pilot project on August 9, 2001.
For the next 6 months, the 37,000 residents living on the south side of the Belize district will be able to receive free health care.
Prime Minister Said Musa, who cut the ribbon at today's opening, remains firmly committed to NHI.
It will involve, as you no doubt have heard, the participation of 4 primary care facilities, 3 eye care centers, 5 pharmacies, laboratories, and 3 imaging centers in a new partnership between the public and private sector health providers.
You can walk into a primary care provider clinic. You can seek a consultation with a general practitioner. If in the event that you need a prescription, they will give you a prescription, and then you have a choice of 5 pharmacies where you can get that medication prescribed free of charge.
And though the NHI embarked on a journey to transform the country's health sector, it was met with its fair share of challenges.
It was a new concept.
It was a new idea, a very, very new concept. It was difficult. We met resistance from everybody. It was a up and down situation for many years until we finally convinced the Prime Minister at the time we needed to do a pilot project to see how it would function. We got consultants and we started the pilot project in the south side of Belize City.
Despite any prior reservations, in the 25 years that have followed, NHI has grown from a pilot project focusing on the south side of Belize City to a national health plan felt as far and wide as Pachacan in the north and as deep south as Dolores in the Toledo district. Today, NHI provides invaluable primary health care to some of Belize's most vulnerable members of society. And as it commemorates 25 years of service and a full national expansion, NHI is ready to move into the next phase of service to the Belizean people, with over 225,000 residents currently registered to the program and expectations for that number to reach over 300,000 after full national coverage.
We have 80,000 people with valid Social Security cards in the Cayo district. So we expect them to be the ones that will come to register for NHI.
Under this current administration, the NHI program has reached new heights, especially with financing from the proceeds of the sale of Toledo to the Belize Government Lotteries Limited. And with no plans to slow down anytime soon, the sky is the limit for NHI as it endeavors to serve Belize for another 25 years and beyond.
The expansion at 25 years is awesome. It marks a milestone. I believe it's going to be a legacy of the PEP government in their effort and their endeavor to give quality care, access to care, and ensure that the people of Belize have what they deserve in terms of medical care.
Well, it's a milestone that the NHI is celebrating 25 years this year, 2026. Now that we have achieved this so far, I would want, or my vision would be that the same applies to secondary health care, that it be extended into the hospital services countrywide. And I hope it doesn't take another 25 years for that to happen.
The role of the social security system will be expanded to increase its contributions with the establishment of a national health insurance program.
I think NHI is forever. It's not gonna go. It might change. It should change. Our communities change, so the way we serve them has to change. But the concept of NHI, the concept of having universal coverage of primary health care for our Belizean people is here to stay.
NHI, an enabler of quality health and wellness for all. The Ministry of Infrastructure Development and Housing hereby reminds the public of construction works being carried out for the expansion and rehabilitation of a portion of the Philip Wilson Highway from mile 8 to mile 24.5. Work is well underway. From mile 24.5 to the Lord's Bank Junction, upgrades will include hot mix, asphalt and concrete paving, wide shoulders on both sides of the road, a roundabout at the Borough Boom Junction, culvert installation, and large drains, the construction of bus shelters, road signs and marking, and properly designated junctions at the entrance of the Old Northern Highway, Maxborough, the HRC housing community, and Los Lagos. From Lord's Bank to the Vista Del Mar Junction, upgrades will include expansion to a 4-lane highway with hot mix, asphalt and concrete paving, wide shoulders, sidewalks and drains on both sides, roundabouts at the Lord's Bank Road, Mirage Road, Billiken Road, and Airport Road intersections, designated pedestrian crossings, culvert installation and the clearing of the canal, installation of bus shelters, and road signs and markings. Every effort will be made to execute the works in a manner that minimizes road user inconvenience. But all road users should expect and plan for travel delays within active construction zones. Please, drive safely. Do not speed. Do not drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Do not drive recklessly. Please be courteous. Respect other road users. Adhere to the direction of traffic safety personnel and drive with due care and attention.
As a small business, I started to attend pop-up shops like many other businesses, and we found that our customers wanted to pay by card and not cash. I went to Atlantic Bank, and immediately, without a problem, it's like, yes, you can have a POS system. That POS system we now use in-house, and we can also take it countrywide wherever we are. They were willing to take the time. They were willing to be patient with us as we grew our business, and that, for us, that meant the world.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
Belize, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
Tonight, a video of domestic abuse and a disappointing courtroom outcome has shocked and saddened the community. The video went viral on Facebook this afternoon. It shows a police officer named Philip Garbut in his home setting, assaulting his common-law wife, and then striking her 8-year-old son who tried to protect his mom. That happened back in February. He was first charged then, but yesterday those charges were suddenly withdrawn. All charges. Now the child's biological father is concerned because while the mother did choose to withdraw her complaint against Garbut, the state should ensure that it proceeds with the prosecutions on the child's behalf, since he was also injured. But disappointingly, it did not. I looked at that chilling video today. Yesterday afternoon, when 39-year-old police constable Philip Garbut walked out of the court, a free man, it's because the charges of aggravated assault and wounding against him had been withdrawn. As often happens in such cases, his common-law wife told the court she does not wish to proceed with the matter in court, so the charges were withdrawn. But he was also charged for assaulting her 8-year-old son. A medical legal form showed that he harmed the child, who got an injury to his eye when he struck him across his head. It happened on Tuesday, February 17th, at their home on Watermelon Street. The argument ensued over dirt in the kitchen and escalated when Garbut choked and punched her, bursting her upper lip. In a heartbreaking act, her 8-year-old son intervened with an iron bat in an attempt to protect his mother. Garbut took the bat away and slapped the child twice.
You want me? Go, baby, go. You want me what? Stop. You need to stop, Philip. You want me? I'ma call your mom. You want me? What? You want me? You fuck with me. You never raise a fucking bat. Why? I tell you, you never do it. Yes, I tell you, go in a room. Go in a room. Go in a room. Move far from me. And now. Philip! Tell her you want a stupid mouth girl. Fuck happened to you? Philip! Respect yourself. Respect yourself. I can't see one thing I take care of you.
But despite threats and despite the harm done to the child, Garbut is free of charges tonight. According to his lawyer, the child's biological father visited social last week to get them involved to protect his child, but he believes that they dropped the ball. His attorney told us via text that from the time a police officer is charged by the police for beating a woman and her 8-year-old child, social should have come to the rescue of the child. The director of the Social Services Department, Sean Vargas, told us his office did not withdraw the charges and that the decision was made without consulting the department. Jo Marie Lanza, 7 News. Vargas told us that his office is seeking legal advice on the withdrawal of charges. The CEO in the police ministry, Elton Bennett, has given other media a comment, saying, quote, "I have already had a discussion with the Commissioner of Police, and he will be ensuring that we bring this individual into some form of tribunal or disciplinary process, because that behavior, that conduct, is certainly one that is unbecoming to the extent of not serving in the Belize Police Department." Commuters across Belize can expect an increase in bus fares by Friday. This is the decision coming out of Cabinet today, where they agreed to adjust the national pricing structure. The move comes after discussions with the Belize Bus Association, BBA, which had requested a price hike citing rising operational costs, including fuel prices. And if they didn't get it, they said they were going to strike. Today in Belmopan, Jaliza Roberts spoke to the Minister of Transport shortly after he came out of Cabinet, and he explained the decision-making process.
Yes, Cabinet met and we discussed at length the request from the BBA. Their request was for a price adjustment to reflect a consistent price structure across the country. And after discussions and we presented our analysis, the prices will be adjusted to 18 cents per mile for regular bus fares and 20 cents per mile for express bus fares. There will be a new category that we will create in law that is going to be called premium. This is a new category that will require buses to be no older than 7 years and of a premium quality, including free Wi-Fi. So that will have a price of 22 cents per mile. And so we have had a discussion with the BBA president. He is going to be sharing that with his membership. And additionally, we informed him that where the prices are not exactly on the 25 cents, meaning they will be rounded to the nearest 25 cents to make it easy for both commuters and operators to charge the fees. And that this would become effective on the 24th of this month.
Now, fares will be going up for the commuter.
Well, yes, their argument has always been that the fares needed adjustment for a number of years. And so, in the interest of addressing the fact that fuel prices have gone up, Cabinet felt it proper to offer them these adjustments in prices per mile, yes.
So when it does implement, can we expect to see prices going from shortstop, looking at a shortstop, which was once $2, can we see it go to $2.25 now?
Well, that is, we in discussing with the president, we are going to sit with them and go through all the stops throughout the entire network and make sure that we're in agreement on the fares according to the 18 cents and 20 cents. So that we know that at every village that the buses will be stopping, that there is a fare that will be clear for the commuters and for the operators.
And when it comes to how this increase in fares will affect the tens of thousands of daily commuters, the minister says that it had to be done or the companies would fold.
Well, we have had this conversation for the past 3 or 4 weeks, and the operators have told us that in discussions with their commuters, that their commuters understand that they're having a difficult time, to the extent that they said that they would have to cease operations. So they have convinced us that in their discussions with commuters, that commuters understand that they have to have some inputs to address the increase in fuel prices.
Later on in the news, we'll have more on the National Bus Company, and we'll ask Dr. Zabane if he's doing it to fulfill a childhood dream. And there was other big news coming out of Cabinet today. Minister of Public Service Henry Usher outlined his surprising plan to pause all government transfers this year. It's a decision with a huge ripple effect across the public sector, and it will change the personal and professional plans of scores of public officers who were supposed to be transferred. So what motivated it? And what's the justification? That's what Jaliza Roberts asked the minister today in Belmopan.
Certainly, as you alluded to last week in our previous interview, we are facing uncertain global economic situations. There's a lot of headwinds when it comes to the finances and the effects that they will have on government services. So government is looking at different ways in which we can save money. And this is one of the cost-saving measures. By extending the tour of duty, you are extending persons, yes, at their current post, but in that regard, you don't have to pay transfer grants, in some cases, housing allowances, based on where the public officers are going. Maybe you would have had to pay hardship allowance, etc. So these do add up, and every penny counts when it comes to saving right now in these uncertain times.
And so, won't it cause widespread disruption and inconvenience for many of the persons that would need to travel or something like that?
Well, transfers in the public service are governed under the public service regulations. As you know, those are enshrined in the Constitution. I think it starts at Section 96 of the regulation, and that deals with transfers. And it says very clearly in that section that transfers are to be done in the interest of the public service and are not to be done as a punitive measure. Many times, and we've seen it in the past, unfortunately, persons are transferred because of issues that happen within their particular ministries. And every year we seem to get more and more transfers. It's not necessarily the most efficient way to go. You ask if some people will be disrupted. My answer to that is by moving them, that also disrupts their family life, where they need to now find housing wherever they're being posted. So we're trying to make sure that the proper analysis is done before we do these transfers. Of course, the regulations say that a tour of duty is 2 years. It can be extended for a third year. So we know that public officers are transferable. But we also realize that many times these transfers don't necessarily have to be done on a mass basis. And that's what we're seeing.
And while Usher questions the logic mass of transfers, he said that doesn't mean there will be no transfers. He said requests can be examined on a case-by-case basis.
Of course, it doesn't stop ministries on a case-by-case basis for the Ministry of Public Service to look at requests to make certain transfers, but this mass transfer of public officers is what we're trying to avoid this year as a cost-saving measure, but also so that the proper analysis can be done. In other words, if a public officer needs to go or is out on a tour from his home station, do we move that person back to their home station so that we don't have to pay a housing allowance? All of these analyses and observations need to be looked at, and that's going forward. So that's what we want to do with all the different ministries.
And while government cost saving is one thing, on the other side of that are those public officers who are already expecting a transfer this year and arranging their personal and family affairs to accommodate that. Usher offered an apology.
So you're right. I mean, and I have to apologize to those persons who have already been making the different changes or accommodations and so on. But the period January to March is the period when they are notified that they can be potentially transferred. There's then a period where they can respond in either accepting or then requesting that it be reviewed. We're still in April now. Transfers don't take effect until July or August. So we felt that this was the right time to send out the circular, and certainly I think the CEO in the Ministry of the Public Service made the right decision.
But does Usher also owe an apology to his cabinet colleagues, including the PM? Our sources say ministers were also caught off guard by yesterday's memorandum. So did he clear it with the PM? Usher says he thinks he did. Discuss it with him.
Was this something that was taken to cabinet?
It's a decision for the human resource management or the human resource arm of the government. So it's a decision by the Ministry of Public Service. As I explained to you, we've had these discussions with the Joint Union team, and we believe that it's in the best interest as a cost-saving measure and as a way of doing the proper HR analysis going forward.
Okay, and did it have the Prime Minister's approval just going forward with it?
I think the Prime Minister and I had a discussion on it, and as we agreed that on a case-by-case basis, we can look at those officers that need to be transferred, or the proposal is for them to be transferred. But again, every year we seem to get more and more mass transfers of public officers, which might not serve the interests of the public service. Unfortunately, many times those are done in a punitive way, going against the regulations. So that's what we try to avoid.
These costly punitive transfers are the central justification for presenting them as a cost-saving measure. Usher says that when his ministry analyzed areas of wastage, transfers were an obvious target.
I wouldn't be able to give you the exact figures because that would depend on how many persons were going to be transferred. But looking at past data, we know that there has been quite a bit. In fact, the recommendation coming from the Cost Saving Committee, that's a committee created at the Joint Union level, they were the ones saying that we need to look at this particular practice and see how it can be improved. Why? Because allowances keep going up. And the number of allowances is costing, or it is a big pull on the budget. So I think this is something that we're serious about, and we want to make sure that we do the proper analysis.
With the steady stream of transfer requests, the minister does admit that some of them are justified, and that is why they have implemented the case-by-case analysis clause, as no two situations are the same.
Well, that's why we have to do the analysis. So we're saying, okay, this transfer, can it be justified? Let us hear why you want to make this transfer. Now, transferring everybody from one post to another post, or just exchanging them from one side to the next, how is that efficient? How is that improving public service? That's the justification that we want to see, and we want to make sure that it's done in a fair way. It's not done in a way to punish or in any way hold back any public officer.
And despite rumors that police, customs, and Coast Guard personnel would be exempted from the no transfer directive, the minister says it, in fact, does apply to them too.
When we're looking at the cases of police, Coast Guard, and customs, will they still be transferable?
So the circular applies to all public officers. It also applies to officers in the police department. So again, on a case-by-case basis, we can look at those. But certainly we don't want to see the mass transfer for everybody for as the reasons we've outlined already.
And support for the decision has come from an unlikely corner. The Public Service Union, PSU, has thrown its wholehearted support behind the initiative. The union says the move will reduce costly and often punitive transfers that burden taxpayers and disrupt families without improving efficiency. The minister says that they were also consulted in the process.
Of course, the Public Service Union has come out in support of the Circular 26. I thank them for sending out that support, and it's something that we have discussed at the Joint Union level on a number of occasions. Well, we continue to have discussions with all the unions. I think that the president of the PSU and the executive team from the PSU and myself with the other ministers on the ministerial team that meets with them, headed by the Deputy Prime Minister, we've had these types of discussions. We've created 3 subcommittees within the joint union: the Revenue Enhancement Committee, the Cost Saving Committee, and the Pension Reform Committee. As I said, this is an area that the Cost Saving Committee has looked at before. They are the ones doing the analysis, providing that information, and I think we have an agreement on that this is an area that we can save on.
We take our first break now. When we come back, we'll have the shocking story of a nurse stabbed by a mentally ill patient at the KHMH. And was your bank account changed from savings to checking without any consultation? We asked the central bank who approved that. Stay tuned.
Belize, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
Mornings with the kids are always busy, but having the space we need makes life easier. With the Jack T8, we have the comfort, reliability, and space we need. With fully breathable leather seats, 6-speed manual transmission, 9-inch LCD screen with Apple CarPlay and Android, 4-cylinder, fully turbo diesel, and space for my entire family. We can count on Jack to get us there safely and comfortably.
Let's get it on. The race for first is tightening up and heating up into NEBL. And this Friday in Belmopan, the Belmopan Trojans try to stay alive versus the steaming hot Kyle Western Ballers. 8 p.m. at the UB Gymnasium. Then on Saturday night, the Dan Grieger Dream Ballers try to make a last push in the standings versus the dangerous San Pedro Tiger Sharks. 8 p.m. at the Russell Chiste Auditorium. And in Corozal, the Corozal Spartans, fresh off their first win, faces a test against the bad boys from the city, the Belize City Defenders. 8 p.m. at the Andres Campos Stadium. Giveaways, the NEBL girls, plus the National Sports Council and Fui Bolido, $5,000 halftime shooting challenge. Come out and rally behind your team this NEBL weekend. Sponsored by the Government of Belize.
We have 1,055 students, and so all of those students were exempted from the payment of tuition this year. In terms of the uniforms, it's only for Form 1 students, so each student got 3 uniforms, 3 sets, and in addition to that, the ministry also paid for their physical education uniform.
My mother is a single mother, so at the time when I entered First Form, I wasn't the only one here because I also had an older brother, and it used to put a lot of stress on my mother. So when this program got implemented, my mother was relieved because now she doesn't have to worry about us all the time. Maybe in projects, but not in tuition.
I was about to come out from school because I was about to start working to help out my parents more. But after the program came to play, my parents lost that stress and I still continued school.
My parents don't have to stress out because they work jobs that don't pay as much as it should. But with the tuition, it really helps me and it really gives me the motivation to strive for something bigger.
This program is very important because everybody goes through things that they don't talk about, and some might be financial struggles.
It makes me feel good that the government is taking initiative in its students.
I know that the government is paying for this stuff. It pushes me to work harder because I know they have expectations for us.
Thank you very much. This has been a wonderful thing to many people. It gives them a lot of opportunities.
I have the biggest constituency in the country of Belize. The people want to know what can I do for them. How can we provide lots for our people?
That'll be the main entrance right there, sir.
We are putting roads, we are putting drainage if possible.
Finish a road, we start the next one.
Phase by phase.
I build up for my picnic as a single father now.
This one be the door right there, sir.
Me, myself, happy. I never want a piece of land.
Right over here, the kitchen.
I know the job, I got a job where, they carry food for my family every day.
2-bedroom, slowly but surely.
I can reach my lot where I want and when I want.
Uno se siente alegre porque por lo menos lo que uno construye es para el futuro de los hijos.
I want my own place. My kids then get big.
5 of them in the backyard with me, and I have my land documents in my hand.
Where the TV plant grow very good. Open up this little area, make it look like a nice little city.
Once I'm involved in something, I'll make sure it comes to fruition. And once you can provide them with a piece of land, that is gold for them.
Look here, your kitchen light there and you've never been in the kitchen. But I'm going back in there right now. And the coffee maker?
Just to try to keep my coffee warm for later.
What do you do now?
I'll try to think about what to eat.
You know the more you open or close the fridge, it takes longer for the food cool.
Uh-huh.
For a hot day like today, it burns more energy. You charge your phone right now?
No.
Plug it out then. You really only wash 2 Lee socks and 1 Lee shirt? You don't know what small load burn the same amount of electricity as large loads?
But this is my favorite shirt.
You have to be more energy efficient. Use large loads. This AC, the blow hard. You know, if you keep the temperature at 25 degrees Celsius or higher, you burn less energy and you also keep the place cool. And for a nice day like today, turn off the AC, open up the house and make some fresh breeze come in.
You know what? I think I get it now. As consumers, we need to be more energy efficient and practice energy conservation.
I didn't know anything about honey or bees. I was really awed when I opened the hive box and I saw there was just not bees. There is wax, there is propolis, there is pollen, there is the entire education of what is going on inside the hive. And I was like, how come nobody in Belize have ever done this before?
The farm produces 75% of what we consume. We were introduced to instant coffee, so we're growing our own food, but we're drinking instant coffee. So I said, it's time to introduce our own coffee as part of our food security.
My brother, he used to work at a butterfly farm, and he was in charge of breeding them. One day, when he was in the butterfly cage, he saw that they die naturally and they still look beautiful. And that is when he got the idea to make the butterfly art collages.
I used to do cakes from home. I started just giving them away, but I needed to buy my stuff back and I started selling them. So that's what started it, and I used Facebook as my means of advertisement and started getting customers.
I've always been fascinated with gemstones. It's been something that I've been collecting for more than a decade. It's just the fascination of how they come out from the earth, just different minerals and elements that combine. They just form these beautiful colors, and it's so fascinating.
Nokche Adventure Park came about from the birth of COVID. Everything was shut down in the tourism industry, and we decided, I want to do something to help the community. We got 10 bikes, 10 ATVs, and we were just doing just ATV tours at that time. Shortly after, we were approached by the cruise lines. We agreed to work with them, and from then it just started growing.
The adjacent communities have collaborated together to see how they can get a space here that the wood carvers could actually market and sell their product. My husband is a woodworker. He attended the meeting. He was given a space here, and that's how basically I got involved in the business.
To me, Atlantic Bank
was the best partner for us to team up with.
Having access to financing, change of business in productivity.
Once I had Atlantic Bank support with the finances, it was smooth sailing from there.
They saw the vision and they were willing to be patient.
Atlantic Bank's e-commerce system has accelerated the growth for my business.
Now I can make payments and receive payments online, and this has made my job much easier.
I don't have to run to town and use fuel and the other expenses.
They were willing to be patient with us as we grew our business, and that meant the world.
I sit and sip my good cup of coffee and do payments.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
Belize, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
Terror struck the KHMH last night when a nurse and doctor came under attack by a deranged patient. According to reports, a male patient was being examined when his female visitor began slapping him. The attending nurse intervened to stop her, but that's when the woman allegedly flew into a rage and attacked the nurse. Reports say the woman threw the nurse onto a bed, broke an IV stand, and threatened to stab both the nurse and the doctor. She then stormed out of the hospital with the IV stand in hand. A police report has been filed and a suspect is being sought. Last night, we told you about Belize Petro Spirits, the company that imported fuel into the Big Creek port without getting the proper permits. We also showed you this no objection letter from the Ministry of Finance, giving its blessing to the company as a fuel importer and wholesaler. That letter was addressed to director and shareholder Jonathan De Silva. Well, today, De Silva contacted our newsroom to say that he is no longer with the company. He says, quote, "I am clarifying for the record that in June 2025, I resigned from the company Belize Petro Spirits, surrendering all shareholding which was registered at the BCCAR. Any decisions regarding the company are therefore unknown to me as I exited completely." End quote. He provided a detailed extract from the company which shows that Ming-Pei Chen, as of December 2025, is the sole shareholder of Belize Petro Spirits. Startup for the National Bus Company has been about as smooth as the bumpy road to Moscow. So, did they launch prematurely with too many old buses prone to mechanical failure? We asked the Ministry of Transport CEO about this today.
The NBC is a viable company, I can say to you. It is up and running. Like with every other bus company or any other vehicle, you do experience mechanical problems at times. Even a brand new vehicle from the garage, from the dealership, you drive down the road, you broke down, it happens. But I can say to you that the minister has been working diligently, and Jules said it best yesterday on his show. He said that while you can say that ministers may be absent from work or that Minister Zabani is on the grounds, and he approached this situation with a great degree of enthusiasm, want to make sure it succeeds as a CEO. I am there to support my minister. I believe it's the right thing to do. For the people of Belize, they do need a viable bus company. Yes, it is not where we want it to be, but with time it is getting there, and the minister is working diligently to get the National Bus Company where he wants it to be.
And even considering the many challenges, the minister remains optimistic. He said that the NBC is in its infancy and they are still modernizing an industry with many issues. A part of the changes will be scheduling better equipment and better runs, especially in the south through the coastal highway.
Well, you see, there are multiple challenges. We are modernizing a sector that had numerous issues. So it's not just the equipment. That's one of the main issues, the poor quality of equipment. It's also that the schedules needed to be rationalized, where in some cases you have too many buses leaving at the same time and leading to racing and unsafe practices on the highways. And then in other cases, there are no buses or not enough buses leaving at certain times and on certain days. So all of that is being worked on. NBC should be putting out a updated schedule for the south and west within the next couple of weeks or so, and give commuters enough time for them to understand what the schedules are and to make inputs into them as well. So, for example, from the south, a lot of buses, most of the buses have been coming through Belmopan. However, you have people who want to go to Belize City, or they want to go to Hattieville, or anywhere past the coastal road to Belize City. But yet they have to come all the way to Belmopan and wait there while the bus stops and puts on people, etc. So that's could be up to a whole hour. Instead, we have now a big investment we've made in the coastal road. So a lot of these runs will now be going through the coastal road and enhancing the experience, reducing the time for our commuters getting to Belize City. That's just one example of an improvement that's coming very soon.
And just in, the BBA has gotten its price increase request, and upon speaking with the President, Philip Jones, a short while ago on the phone, he said that they are pleased with the decision made by Cabinet.
I'm very pleased, and I'm very happy for the commuters and the bus operator at large, due to the fact that this is a lifeline for the bus operator, and I would like to take the time out to thank the Prime Minister, thank the Deputy Prime Minister and Cabinet for their wisdom in granting the bus operator for this lifeline with the price alignment.
How do you feel your commuters will naturally react to a price increase?
Well, to be honest with you, this is basically a price alignment. We don't see it as an increase, but some will take it as an increase because it's a little bit more than what they are usually paying. But due to the fact that we understand the industry is primarily focused on the commuters that needs to travel and use the service on a daily basis, it's a costly one. So we have tried our best to minimize the impact on them in terms of raising fare. So what we had basically do is ask the minister is to align what is there with the NBC so we can be fair, because then we can provide a better service and it will give us a lifeline. So this is just 14 cents to the miling adjustment.
One would say that being that you are finally getting your quote-unquote price alignment, that you would need to better the service that you offer to customers, especially with the condition of the equipment that you offer. How would you respond to that?
I can honestly say that for the past year and a half that the members of the BBA and private operators have done tremendous upgrade over the past year and a half. And you can see the company out there that is under the BBA. We are an example for excellence and service and reliability. I would like to share. You can see for yourself. We have many operators in the north that have outstanding bus. We have upper tier, we have high tiers, we have regular, and we have the premier coach that there was a little price adjustment on, and we have a wide variety of buses and coaches that we can provide and match any Caribbean country with at this present time.
And despite the many challenges, the minister remains optimistic. He said the NBC is in its infancy, and they're still modernizing an industry with many issues. A part of the changes will be scheduling better equipment and better runs, especially in the south, through the coastal highway. But until those changes come, CEO Williams maintains that, like any other vehicle, buses will also experience mechanical issues. He stressed, though, that they have the mechanics to ensure that the buses are maintained on schedule, despite reports that those mechanics were somewhere between go slow and stop.
You all get ahead of yourselves, rush things, not ensure that certain aspects were in place, particularly the mechanical repair aspect and maintenance.
I don't know where this notion came from with NBC not having mechanics, because for the most part, the operators, when they're operating individually, they had mechanics. Those mechanics that were with them came on board to NBC, and so they operate under NBC as mechanics. So NBC do have mechanics, and whenever these issues arise with bus, the mechanics are there to remedy the issue and get the buses back on the road. It is not like the breaking down is out of control. It is not a case like that. The company is doing its best to make sure that it remains viable and make sure, importantly, that it gets the Belizean commuters from point A to point B.
But then how many breakdowns have there been? I think I've counted probably about 5 reports thus far. Probably 2 or 3 emanating. Well, that one was buses not showing up in PG, and then I think one person posted of a bus breakdown last week, but there have been more.
I'm not sure how many breakdowns there have been, but like I said before, that once you drive a vehicle, there's always that potential that there's going to be some issue arising with the vehicle. The question is, how do we address them? And I think that the National Bus Company has been responsive whenever they have issues with buses, in making sure that they address the issues as quickly as possible.
But while the ministry remains on the defensive, they also had to address the circulating video that shows a number of NBC buses in what looks like a mechanic's graveyard. The minister says the video was from the beginning of March and that they are working on ironing out the kinks, which can be frustrating.
Yes, this was early in March. In fact, we knew it because one of the buses, a Neoplan bus that came into the fleet from Mr. Shaw, was in that video. But after the first week, that bus was moved to Belize City for repairs. In fact, it is still in Belize City. So we knew. I think part of that was released as part of the frustration. There's some frustration, as we'd expect when you have many cultures being brought under one umbrella. And that is what has happened. We're putting now systems into place that were not there before. And so some of the people on the ground may have felt a little pressure that they have to adjust or change how they used to operate. Since then, I believe that our HR department, the National Bus Company's HR department, and the CEO and other members of the NBC team have been around the country. Just yesterday, they were in the West meeting people, and that's going to take some time. So that's another big adjustment, HR, how the timing of when people are paid, aligning the salaries, because you had different rates for different bus companies, and things of that nature. That's going to take some time, and that is being worked on very aggressively. So it's not possible for all of that to have been done on day one. It's going to take time.
It will take time, but while the many pitfalls of public transport ensnare him, we asked Zabane if this difficult undertaking was all about a childhood dream, as some in the opposition have suggested.
I never even thought I would be in the transportation business. No. Okay, I had the experience when I was growing up with my dad in Z-Line, and that's something that the Prime Minister saw that I could bring to the table. And with our team, with CEO Williams and everybody having varied skill sets, we've been able to bring everything together. So it's been a team effort that has gotten us here. Strong support from the cabinet. In this very room, we also met with opposition members of the House and the Senate to explain this whole thing to them, right? So my training is in economics and in education. Those are my areas of passion. I am applying as best as I can my training to this case, right? Whatever it is, I have said that I am here to serve. Remember, we come in as area representatives to serve our members of our constituencies. So that's my primary focus, has always been. If you go to Dangriga, you will see a tremendous amount of work happening. What Prime Minister asks us to do as ministers, well, we do our very best. If there were whatever you want to call it, a machete chopping ministry, and he had asked me to do, I would have done the best that I could at chopping with a machete. By the way, when I grew up, I used to chop with machete. So if there was a ministry like that, then people would have said, see your dream now if you chop with machete. And I would have said, well, fine, since you could say whatever it is, I'm going to do the best job that I can.
For the past 2 weeks, you've seen the growing tension unfold in Indian Creek Village, which stems from the fact that the CCJ consent order has yet to be properly implemented by the government. Successive governments have delayed the implementation, but today the CEO in the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs explained that the Prime Minister has directed them to ensure it is implemented this term. But of course, it's not so easy, especially since several parties are involved. According to Chester Williams, a review panel will be constituted and will convene early next month. But here's what he told us today about where they are in the process.
We do have the Maya Leaders Alliance, we have the Toledo Alcalde Association, and then we have the third parties. Each of those organizations are represented now by council. The third parties in this issue have now retained counsel from Courtney Koyi law firm, and so moving forward as it relates to issues that affects them, we have to be in consultation with the attorney as well. Again, as we look at the whole issue of addressing the Maya customer land tenure, we have said it's a complex issue. There are a number of parties involved and there's a lot at stake. And so as a ministry, as a government, we are making sure that we make the right steps in addressing the issues to the satisfaction of all the parties concerned.
So it's going to be who ends up with title at the end of the day, and it's going to be the government deciding that?
Well, the CCJ in its decision made alluded to the fact that the government is to put in place a legislation and the administrative mechanism in making sure that the Mayan customer land tenure is identified and protected. And so within the legislation itself is going to have how the title issue is going to work out. I'm not going to go into details of that here because the legislation is still in consultation along with the parties who are going to be affected. So I'd rather leave that until then before we discuss the nitty-gritty of the legislation.
Ann Williams emphasized that they need to find a compromise between all the parties involved, and the legislation will need to reflect that. But he chose not to go into too many details just yet.
And that's going to determine finally how Maya land rights will end up looking in legislation. You've also said that not everyone will get their way.
Well, like I said, it's a complex issue, and so they will have to be struck a balance in making sure that what the government does is to satisfy the parties involved.
Wow. Are we still at the point where it's I can't remember how many miles out of the center for a village in terms of what they're originally entitled to, and then they must apply?
No, like I said, we will still have to work in consultation with the communities in determining the boundaries of each community. We have not gotten there as yet, no. The legislation will also speak to that, and then will be guided. We'll be putting the mechanism to guide the process. We have been going in the villages. It is non-stop. Almost every day, Mr. Rekena is in the villages, speaking to people, doing consultations, looking at other issues that may arise. Even when it comes to activities that are done by other ministries, that requires the implementation of FPIC protocol. Mr. Rekena is with them, making sure the process goes through properly. So going to the village is not new. We have been going to the villages from day one.
Williams also spoke about protecting the rights of private landowners. He added that private land rights must align with the communal land rights.
What would you say is the greatest challenge insofar as we have two systems? We have communal land rights and we have the private property rights recognized by the Lands Department. Is there any way that these two systems can peacefully coexist?
Well, the objective of the government is to make sure that we comply fully with the CCJ consent order. And again, in that consent order, it says that the communal land tenure exists both collectively and individually, which applying my legal interpretation would mean that private land titles should also be able to run alongside the communal land tenure. So I am hoping that it is something that is going to be looked at, and at the end of the day, the parties involved will be able to come to some amicable solution in making sure that we continue to live in harmony in Belize.
But if the government were to acquire private lands in order to turn them into communal lands, then the holder would have to be compensated. And if it's financial compensation, it will be out of the taxpayer's purse. But on Sun Up on 7, Williams explained that even if taxpayers outside of the South believe their money shouldn't be used this way, they are still affected by the CCJ judgment. Here's how he explained it.
Even you who think that you're not affected by the judgment is affected. The Constitution in Section 17 speaks to the protection of private property. And no one shall be subject to arbitrary deprivation of their property. And if the state so wish to take away your property, then you must be compensated adequately, right? Now, people have millions of investment in some of these areas. The question then is, like you rightly said, should the government move to acquire these lands from these people, then who pays, right? And that's why I said earlier that it has serious financial implication. The protection of right to property under the Constitution must also be afforded to those third parties. That if their property is deprived, then they must be compensated. So we'll wait to see how that plays out. I am hoping that there's going to be some sort of negotiation where reasonable heads would prevail and say, okay, if Mr. Peter Tam have so much investment in this area, he has title to the property, then by all means leave him there, right? And then the government must just then cease and desist from issuing further titles. Now, in the CCJ judgment, it says that the government must undertake to not issue titles or lease in those areas, but it did not say that the government must take away what has already been given, right? So these are things that we have to look at, and certainly the AG Ministry and Senior Counsel Marshal-elect will be looking at this very closely to see how we'll be able to mitigate these things to make sure that the government don't pay too much money.
Yes.
Today, the central bank introduced the instant payment system. What does it mean for you? We'll explain. Plus, a 25-year-old BDF guard in Orange Walk suddenly dies at his post. We'll talk to the chief of staff. Don't go away.
This newscast is brought to you by Cellular World, your authorized Samsung distributor.
Shop smart for your Samsung devices in Belize and enjoy benefits you won't get anywhere else. When you shop locally for your Samsung, all your devices will be covered by a 1-year local warranty. You won't get that when shopping with the other guys. When in doubt, always look for the Cellular World seal to know you're getting the real deal. Shop with confidence and enjoy your Galaxy knowing that it can be repaired locally at our Samsung Service Center by certified Samsung technicians using original parts and machinery. Even better, enjoy the best LTE experience in Belize, knowing that your Samsung devices are compatible with major local carrier networks. Get the ultimate Samsung Galaxy experience only when you shop from authorized Samsung resellers nationwide.
Champion security, champion security, champion security. Yeah. Your security is our business, so we gonna protect you like a champion, like a champion.
Guess what, Mr. Handsome? Yeah, over there, Champion Security. This is the place to be. What does sign say? Champion Security. Here at Champion Security, we provide quality service. You know why? Such as triology lock, fire alarm, IP camera system, gate operator, biometric lock, and alarm system. Champion Security. Make a go check out where they go on inside of Champion Security. And boy, nice to meet you, my brother. Tell me a little bit more about Champion Security.
Well, welcome, Mr. Hanson. Here at Champion Security, we offer fire system, alarm system, camera system, gate operator, access control, and also trilogy locks and magnetic locks. Everything you need to do with security systems for residential and businesses, you could find everything here at Champion Security. We also consist of 12 technicians, and we offer technical support 24 hours. So anything you need for your security systems, you could find everything here at Champion Security.
Remember, guys, here at Champion Security, we live by our motto, where safe stay is our business. Give us a call now. Don't forget to check us on Facebook, Instagram, and all the social media platforms. And continue to shake it to the max all the way. Champion Security, the best place to be. We care for your safety.
You want to rent it? That's not a problem. We got remote gate.
Nokshe Adventure Park came about from the birth of COVID. Everything was on pause for tourism. So we decided, let's do something different. We got 10 bikes, 10 ATVs, and we were just doing ATV tours. Shortly after, we were approached by the cruise lines. We agreed to work with them, and from them, it just started growing. We set up the chocolate tour first, and then from there, we went into the culinary experience with the different Mayan cultures. We have the gift shop, the cooking class, the shaman, and the healing, and it just all came together. When you reach a certain point, you need investors, you need partners to come into your business. Atlantic Bank does make it easy. Even my 7-year-old could do it.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
Belize, your voice is shaping our future. The Ministry of E-Governance is hosting National ID Project public consultations, and we're coming to you. Orange Walk, you're up first. Thursday, April 23rd at Central Park, 6 p.m. Come, learn, share, and help build a better ID system for all Belizeans. Then Belize City, it's your turn. Join us Friday, April 24th at the Biltmore Plaza at 5:30 p.m. Show up, speak up, because your voice matters in creating a smarter, more connected Belize.
Wake up to positivity and inspiration. It's a fresh and diverse twist on your mornings. Tune in to Sun Up on 7 every weekday morning at 6:30 a.m. right here on your nation station, Channel 7. It's the morning show you don't want to miss.
Belize, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
The autopsy of a deceased Dangriga man, Steve Lewis, confirmed he died from multiple gunshot wounds. Lewis was found near the Silkgrass Junction on Friday, April 17th, after going missing on Wednesday, April 15th. Today, the minister spoke about his former constituent.
Yeah, we're very, very concerned. We know the family well. In fact, his mom and family, they just got their land regularized near the airstrip area there in Dangriga. So we're very sad to see a promising young person, young man, and the other young man who was also murdered. When that happens to a community in Dangriga, it's very impactful to all of us, because it's not a community that we've traditionally had those kinds of things occurring. Dangriga is a very peaceful community. People move around. It's neighborly, and it's a very special dynamic. So when that happens to us, it's something that we are very, very concerned about. And so, in fact, it was raised today in Cabinet, and it's something that we are looking to very, very closely at to see what the police can do to help us in this case, right?
No one has been charged for the murder. A BDF soldier from the voluntary unit passed away suddenly today while on duty. 25-year-old Jaime Garcia was working as a gate guard at the BDF's Isles camp in Orange Walk when he suddenly collapsed around 1 p.m. near the door of the guard room. Private Garcia's counterparts did everything they could and rushed him to the hospital, but he did not make it. Chief of Staff Lieutenant Colonel Elber Ramirez told us via Zoom what they know so far.
What we know is that Private Jaime Glenn Garcia, a BDF soldier, was working at Colonel Isles camp in Orange Walk today, 21st April 26. Around 1:10 p.m. he collapsed. First aid was administered on him, and then our BDF vehicle took him to the Northern Regional Hospital. Thereafter, around 1:25, we understand Dr. Estrada pronounced him dead. Yes, that's so far what we have.
Do you know if he had any complaints, health complaints before this?
We are confirming that aspect at the moment, ma'am.
Okay, but he wasn't complaining, like, verbally, like of any issues.
Not that we are aware of. So far we understand he didn't have any underlying conditions. What we know is that he had a flu, simply a flu. But again, we are confirming if there was anything else. He is a member of the volunteer battalion. He enlisted in the Police Defense Force on 20 June of 2020. So a bit over 5 years now. I would say the incident was totally unexpected for the BDF. The BDF has contacted the family, and procedures, protocols are now being followed in order to assist the family in their loss.
We'll let you know what the postmortem says when it is concluded. The central bank is ramping up Belize's instant payment system. Previously, electronic transfers would only go through at certain times of the day and would take up to 10 minutes. But now, with the new system, you get instant transfer any time of the day, along with other conveniences. At a press conference today, Governor Kareem Michael explained more.
The first thing to point out is the feature of continuous availability, which allows payments to be made at any time, every day of the year. What's the current experience? With apps, Digital payments operate largely within banking hours with same-day processing dependent on settlement windows. Many in the public don't realize this, but there are different windows, 9 to 10:30, and then after that 11 to 12, where you process your EFT and your IFT, and then checks comes afterwards. If you try putting a payment at 3 o'clock, that won't be processed until the next day to finality. Not ideal. So what IPS will deliver is payments 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, allowing money to move when the economy moves, not just when the banks are open. The second thing which I want to point out, real-time processing and settlement, providing immediate finality and greater confidence in the movement of funds. The current experience under apps is that payments clear and settle, sometimes on a same-day basis, with the earliest settlement being a time of 2 minutes for IFT transactions. Now, the central bank tests this often, and sometimes IFT is 10, 15 minutes, maybe even longer. So IPS will deliver, this fast payment system will deliver that what our target is, that these transactions will be processed and settled typically in 10 seconds or less. Third, interoperability, enabling seamless payments by allowing participants to clear and settle payment or financial transactions across systems without participating only in those systems. IPS, the fast payment system, will connect banks, credit unions, and digital wallets into one shared payment system, allowing money to move easily and instantly between individuals, businesses, regardless of the provider. The current experience, digital payments often requires detailed bank information and account numbers to make payments, creating friction for users. IPS will allow payments using features as QR codes and alias proxies identifiers, reducing effort and errors.
Michael said the implementation of the system will be a phased approach.
With the contract now executed, the project moves fully into the implementation phase. Activities will focus on detailed system design, stakeholder readiness, configuration testing, and a phased rollout. Full deployment is targeted over an approximate period of 18 months, with go-live expected in early 2028, allowing time for integration, testing, regulatory alignment, and industry preparation. This deliberate pace reflects the strategic importance of the initiative and a commitment to delivering a robust, sustainable system.
And while they are improving the IPS, what measures will be put into place to protect the customers? Already, store owners implement a minimum charge on card usage, meaning you have to purchase a certain amount of items if you want to pay using a card. The central bank governor said it's happening even to him, but they're trying to find a solution.
This is something that we've been battling with for a few years. I have had personal experience where I have went to a grocer and I have purchased maybe $9 and there's a $15 minimum, and they refuse for me to pay with my debit card. And they would only accept cash. Recently, went to the same store, same under $15 purchase, and now they're slapping on a $1 charge to make me use my debit card. The Bankers Association and the Central Bank have been brainstorming, if you will, on how to address this issue. And we've had very good discussions on what solutions may look like from the very blunt to something more equitable on both sides. What we hope is to find a solution for this in the very future. It is not necessarily that we want an entirely cashless society, but for the reasons which you've cited, there cannot be price disincentives for the vulnerable members of society. And this is not only about vulnerable members of society, but this is for everyone, to not participate in the formal financial sector. So this is one of a few issues that we want to address together with the Bankers Association and also even the credit unions to see how we can stop this abuse from happening, because it is really and truly against our financial inclusion motives.
And while today's press conference focused on the IPS, we also asked the governor about both Atlantic and Belize Bank's decision to unilaterally flip your savings account into a checking account. This means you'll be paying a monthly maintenance fee, but more so, it means you won't be accruing interest. We asked the governor about this, but Michael said Central Bank was not a part of that decision.
The central bank was not involved in that decision. There was no approval sought for Atlantic Bank or any other bank to have done that. What I will say is that there are current powers under the central bank that only go as far as putting caps and floors on lending rates and also floors on savings deposits. Savings deposits have been specifically defined. That the latest round of revision was when we engaged the commercial banks roughly a year and a half, 2 years ago, when we wanted or intended to address fee-based income at the commercial banks. And it took a while for us to get at a middle position, a compromise position, which both parties were reasonably satisfied with. But as you rightly pointed out, there have been there have been more concerns by the public that there are more fees being applied, particularly when prices are going up. You're not making income on your savings, but the cost of living is certainly going up. I will also tell you that, and correct me if I'm wrong, the other banks in the room, this is not a unique move by that bank that you mentioned.
Both Atlantic and Belize Bank.
Oh, wonderful. Good. So, so that should tell you something about the structure of our market. Those two are the biggest banks. And I'm not going to tell you what that tell you something is. But this has not been off the table with the Bankers Association. We continue again to have respectful discussions on the matter of fees, and we're doing our part to assist banks that are entirely profit-driven with private interests. The central bank's objective is public interest. Is there a middle? Absolutely. And we're going to continue to work towards addressing some of these issues as best as we can.
And banking in person is becoming more expensive, while ATM access remains largely free within set limits. Atlantic Bank will now charge $3 for in-branch withdrawals, while Belize Bank's fee stands at $4. Governor Michael notes this is a deliberate effort to incentivize the use of banking technology over traditional teller visits.
You want people to realize that you can do transactions from your phone. All these banks are pushing their apps. Move money through your phone, and you can see how transaction volumes are rolling up, are going up. Because brick and mortar places or bank offices are becoming a thing of the past. 5 years from now, central bank will be pursuing open banking objectives and all of that. So is the $3, $4 excessive? I agree with you completely. Like I said, it's an ongoing discussion, and we got to see where's the sweet spot.
And finally tonight, the National Elite Basketball League has issued a series of suspensions and fines after an altercation during the April 17th matchup between the Belize City Defenders and the Orange Walk Running Rebels. In an official letter, the league expressed disappointment over the incident, mandating both teams to issue public apologies to fans, officials, and the league. Several players received significant penalties. For the Defenders, Kelvin Cumberbatch was suspended for the remainder of the 2026 season for striking an opponent, while John Kelly received a 6-game ban. Other players received 1-game suspensions and fines, bringing the team's total penalties to 2,800. The Running Rebels were also heavily sanctioned. Multiple players were fined and suspended for pushing opponents and failing to comply with disqualification procedures, totaling to $2,300 in fines. The league confirmed that all fines will be donated to charity and deducted from team allowances. And that's all we have for you on 7 News tonight. Thanks for watching. I am Jo Marie Lanza. You can find a full transcript of the news at 7newsbelize.com and see the streaming video on our Facebook page. Have a good night and join me back here tomorrow.